So here we are, back at it again, ready to make our way through the rest of the offseason here and advance to the 2019-2020 season. But welcome back, you guys, to episode 11 of the Louisville Badgers. Got some exciting things still left, free agency, our player progressions, all of that stuff. Can't wait to see how this all plays out. I do want to tell you guys, however, before we get into all that, despite the fact that there are some needs that we have in free agency, I don't think that it's going to be necessary right off the bat for us to go after like a really big name free agent, being that, this coming season, we are still going to want to be, making progress. However, we're still going to want to position ourselves in such a way so that we can get a good draft pick next year as well, because I don't think that as we stand, I don't think that we're playoff contenders. But if we position ourselves the right way, get another good draft pick next year, then we can start moving towards, wowing some of the higher profile free agents, and trying to get them over here to Louisville, so that we can start seeing things take shape and seeing our team really start, to become a contender down the road. And, don't worry, those things are coming. Promise you those things are coming. But for this particular free agency, I don't think that there's any kind of need for us to go after like a max guy right away. But there are some role players that we're going to need. There are going to be some veterans that I'm going to want to bring in, especially so they can mentor some of our younger guys. So that's what we're going to be looking for mainly in our free agency. Now, before we move forward and move our way through the rest of this offseason, I do want to give you guys the rundown on the big trade that happened on draft night from last episode that I was telling you guys about between the Boston Celtics and the New Orleans Pelicans. You guys voted on it. It's the Anthony Davis trade. There was about 400 and something votes, and almost 50% of the votes were for Anthony Davis to be traded to the Boston Celtics. You guys thought that was the most realistic scenario, and I tend to agree with you guys on that. About 30% or so of the votes went for him to go to the Lakers. I think there was like maybe 12-13% of the votes for him to go to the Knicks, and single-digit percentage vote for him to go to for him to stay with the New Orleans Pelicans. But I won't make you guys wait any longer. Let's take a look at this trade. So the New Orleans Pelicans trade Anthony Davis and Frank Jackson to the Boston Celtics for Rudy Gobert, Jason Tatum, the draft rights to PJ Washington, a 2020 first-round unprotected pick, and a 2021 second-round unprotected pick. Now, just to explain this trade to you guys a little bit, we know that the Utah Jazz traded Rudy Gobert to the Celtics on draft night so that they could trade up and get that mid-first-round pick or whatever it ended up being. And now, the Boston Celtics will turn around and flip Rudy Gobert in the trade to bring Anthony Davis over to Boston. Now, I know that this probably looks like the Boston Celtics are giving up a lot, and they are, but I would say that Danny Ainge didn't want to give up any more than this. He certainly didn't want to give up any more than one first-round draft pick, and the reason for that is obvious. You're getting Anthony Davis in return, but we know he's going to be a free agent at the end of next season. So if he decides to walk out that door, depending on how things go with the Boston Celtics this season, this trade looks a little bit questionable at that point, right? However, if they can make a deep playoff run and maybe make it even to the finals, who knows what might happen at that point. My plan, however, is to see how this season plays out and then leave it up to a vote for you guys again at the end of the year to let me know whether or not you think he should walk in free agency or re-sign with the Boston Celtics. So that's how that is all going to go down, and I cannot wait to see how that all plays out because it's going to be extremely, extremely interesting. Anyway, let's move right in to the rest of this offseason, and that brings us to the team/player options. Now, the only option that we have here is Jonathan Simmons. We have a team option on him for $5.7 million. We're going to decline that. We don't have any reason to bring Jonathan Simmons back at this point, so we're going to decline that and move on past right to the qualifying offers. Now, Zubats, however, we are going to extend the qualifying offer to him. It's 1 year, $3.7 million. Now, the thing with this is that he could get another offer from another team. However, as long as that offer isn't something ridiculous, we have the option to match it, okay? So we're hoping that he doesn't get some sort of crazy big offer from somebody else because my plan as of now is to match any offer that comes in for him as long as it's within reason. But let's move right on past that as well And that's going to bring us to the exciting part. Now we're at the moratorium, day 1 of 3. So this is a 3-day period here where we get to negotiate contracts and get some verbal agreements from guys, right? So we'll be able to look through, see what it is that we need, and then go through and make some offers and, get those verbal agreements. We can't officially sign anybody as of yet. However, we can at least talk to guys, gauge their reactions to our offers and things like that. Now, before we jump into day 1, I do want to take a real quick look at what we actually need on the team as of right now. All right, so we know we're good at point guard. All right, we are going to need a backup shooting guard to kind of back up Danny Green and Bryn Forbes. So we'll need a third man there. We're definitely good at small forward. And you know what? Even though we've only got 2 power forwards, we're good there too for the simple fact that Osman and our new rookie Darius Baisley can both play power forward. So if need be, we can throw those guys in those roles, considering the fact that we've got Karuch, we've also got Keldon Johnson who can play small forward and shooting guard. Our main concerns here are going to be center and shooting guard, mainly because we've got only Mo Wagner on the roster at the moment. We have extended our qualifying offer to Zubats, but we don't know what exactly is going to happen with that yet. So let's move forward, and we'll go into day 1 here and see what we got. All right, so we'll go down the list of the free agents real quick. We pretty much know who most of these names are already that are going to be on here. Let's see here. And yeah, so we know most of the names on this list. Most of the guys at the top of the list we're not going to really be going after. But like I said, center and shooting guard are going to be our main concerns at the moment. So there's our boy Zubats. And at the moment, all he has is the qualifying offer from us. Sure, that'll change in the coming days. But let's take a quick look. Let's take a look at what our options are here. So we'll start off with center. Like I said, all we have on the roster officially right now is Wagner. Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez could be a really, really good fit for our team as a veteran, as a guy who could mentor other guys on the team, our other young centers especially. That's definitely an option for us. Let's take a look through who else. Ed Davis too. Ed Davis is definitely an interesting one. I definitely want a veteran because we're going to have Mo Wagner and we're hopefully going to have Zubats. So we're going to have the 2 young guys, and to have a veteran, right there for those guys, and for them to learn from a good veteran, that's going to be pretty important. Let's see. I think we're going to make offers to Lopez. We'll do 2 years with a team option at right around $6.5 million a year. That's not that bad. He should accept that, I would think. So we'll offer that. I was going to make an offer to Ed Davis, but let's take a look and see what Brook Lopez thinks about our offer first. And then we'll go from there. So let's see. Shooting guard. Oh, right off the bat, Rodney Hood. That would be neat. Avery Bradley would be cool. These guys are also pretty good system matches as well. You got the obvious guys at the top of the list. I don't know that it makes any sense whatsoever for us to go after any of these 3 guys at the top as it stands, especially the top 2. Even though Klay Thompson is a 5-star match for us. Man, could we get Klay Thompson? We know the Warriors are at least going to try to keep him. They're going to at least try. Or maybe we just put Keldon Johnson at shooting guard. Should we do that? Because then in that case, then all we really need is center, right? I think maybe, you know what? Maybe I'm doing this all wrong. Maybe that's what we should do. Maybe we should do Keldon Johnson at shooting guard. Because I mean, I think that's probably his natural position anyway. He played mostly shooting guard at Kentucky. Let's just see what that does to him overall wise. So I think considering that we're going into a year where we're not really looking to be playoff contenders, we're just going to give the offer to Brook Lopez. Let me just see here. So we're probably going to want to have a backup plan just in case Zubac does not decide to re-sign with us, in case somebody offers him something that, we just don't want to match. But I don't think we need to do that in the moratorium period here. I think we are good. We're going to make our offer to Brook Lopez like we did, and we're going to advance. Okay, the recap screen. So far, Brook Lopez agrees. Shaq Harrison, no. We don't want you back. We don't want Brewer or Simmons back either. But we do want Zubac back. So hopefully we'll be able to, get him on that qualifying offer or something in that neighborhood. And we can continue on. All right. So we'll just advance the rest of the way through this. We still got Brook Lopez in agreement. All right, so welcome to the team, Brook Lopez. So he will be our starting center going into the 2019-2020 season. So that's going to be really cool. The question is, who is going to be his backup? We know we want to get Mo Wagner some minutes. He's still pretty mad at us, as you can see. But, hopefully we can, work that out with him. But let's see who the backup to Brook Lopez is going to be. We'll continue to advance our way through and see what goes on with Zubac. And after we go through all this, I will also recap everything for you guys and show you who went where. All right, more and more guys getting signed. We're on day 5 at this point. Day 6. Passed by day 6 to day 7. Zubac is prepared to accept an offer from the Wizards. You'll be given an opportunity to match the contract. Well, let's take a look. Okay. 2 years, $13.56 million. So we knew he was expecting right around, $6.5 million a year, somewhere in that ballpark. So this isn't surprising. And he's a guy who has a lot of potential. I really want to keep him on the team, honestly. And it wouldn't surprise me one bit if you guys agree with me on that. So I think we're going to match this. I think we're going to go ahead and match it. Right? Should we match it? I think so. Yeah, we're gonna match it. All right, so we got Zubac. Cool. Before we advance the rest of the way through free agency, let's just take one more quick peek. Now, I did just notice, however, that we do only have 14 guys. All right, so we're going to have to make a decision. Do we want to bring in a backup shooting guard, or do we want to bring in a backup power forward? Let's take a look at who else is available out of those positions. Power forward first. Hollis Jefferson, that's an interesting one. As you guys can see, I like a lot of Nets players. I just really like their team. They got a good young team. Let's see here. And they got some decent veterans on that team as well. So Avery Bradley is a good system match for us. And he's an amazing defender. And it looks like we can get him for pretty cheap. Yeah, I think Bradley would be... I think he's the guy, man. I don't see anybody at power forward. And like I was saying earlier, we can play Osman or Darius Bazley at the power forward if need be. Taj Gibson, definitely interesting. So I think that not only for how well he fits, but also for his defense, his veteran leadership, and all that stuff, I think we're going to go ahead and try to negotiate with Avery Bradley. So we'll bring him in 1+1 team option. offer him a contract, and we'll see how that goes. Let's advance. And we got him. Good. All right, awesome. So that gives us our 15 guys, and the roster is looking pretty good. We'll advance the rest of the way through the free agency period. We'll move on to player progression, because that's also a perfect time for us to go over our new roster and take a look at what everything is looking like, how things are shaping up. All right. The player progression menu allows you to see how a player's ratings have changed following the season. All ratings shown are base ratings and are not affected by injuries, morale, or team chemistry. This allows you to see the raw changes to the player's skills. All right. Awesome. Cool. So Jaren Jackson Jr. went up 3 overall after a wonderful season, wonderful rookie year. And Ja Morant, he went up 1. I don't know if maybe that means that because he's in our system now, that he's better athletically. I really don't know what that means, but he went from a C to an A- in his athleticism, so that's good. So he went up from an 80 to an 81. Monty Morris went up from a 78 to a 79. Zubats went up 1. Karuch up 3 overall. Not bad at all. He had a really good year too. Like, I mean, for a guy that didn't play a whole lot of minutes, you know, he had himself a good year. Let's see here. Leonard went up 1. Lopez down 2. Not surprising. I mean, he's getting up there in age, so to be expected. Forbes went up 1. Osman up 2. Avery Bradley stayed the same. Augustine down 1. Again, he's over 30, so he's getting up there in age. Wagner up 3 points. Not bad at all. So we're happy with that. Danny Green down a couple. Keldon Johnson and Darius Baisley. Okay. So I don't know if this, with the rookies, if this means that, you know, being in our system and drafted by us, if that's the reason why they are getting boosts in their overall. But I will certainly take it. So that is the squad, boys. That is the new squad. Our 2019-2020 Louisville Badgers. Take a look. We got the 2 men at the top. A potential. With Jaren Jackson and Ja Morant. Cannot wait to see these 2 guys in action together. That is going to be something fun to watch. Looking over this team, man, I could not be happier with the direction that we are headed, the new pieces that we've added, and it's only going to get better as time goes on. We are just going to keep on adding and building this team up, and hopefully our young guys will step up to the plate and and develop the way that we're hoping that they will. And I just really, I am so happy with how this turned out. Like I said, I mean, this offseason was going to be full of big decisions. The first huge decision was who we were going to draft. I think we made the perfect choice here with Morant. And then going, of course, into the free agency period. There wasn't a whole lot that we really had to do in the free agent period. And there wasn't, a big need for us to sign a superstar or, a max guy right now, considering where we are as a team. But those days are most certainly coming. We're going to be keeping our salary cap wide open so that in the future, when these good free agents become available, we'll have the money to sign them. But yeah, let's advance on past the player progression, and that brings us to the Summer League. All right, so we'll advance right on past that. We don't really have any kind of concern with the Summer League. All-Star City, Phoenix, Arizona. All right, so that's pretty cool. So the All-Star this year will be in Phoenix, and hopefully we will have some guys that will be a part of those festivities. All right, and that brings us to our training camps. So let's go into this, and so we'll go ahead and use an untapped potential on Ja Morant, and that'll bring him to an A+ afterwards. Let's see here. And then I think we'll use a big man offense on Jaren Jackson Jr., considering the fact that him and Morant are going to be the future of this team. So he will go up in all of these categories after that camp, which is awesome. And yeah, things are working out perfectly. So now, before we advance on to the next season, I'm going to show you guys who went where as far as the free agents are concerned. So let's take a look at that right now. So I made a list of all the most interesting signings that happened in the free agent period. And as you guys can see, the big names are at the top. However, the coolest thing about the entire offseason here was that I only had to intervene on 2 of these deals, okay? And as we talked about earlier, you guys said that you thought that I should, to make it as realistic as possible, I should step in and, kind of, direct things as I saw fit. Now, I'm going to go down this list real quick and, name off the most important signings here. And I'm going to let you guys know the 2 that I actually had something to do with. So, first of all, the Knicks bring in Kevin Durant on a 4-year, $171.5 million contract. Right off the bat, you guys already know I had something to do with that. Now, what I will say is the Knicks did make this offer to Kevin Durant, okay? So the money I didn't mess with. The contract, the money, I didn't mess with any of that. This was an offer that they made to him in the game to Kevin Durant, and the difference was that it looked like he was getting ready to sign with the Sixers because they made him a similar offer. All I did was make it so that he signed instead with the New York Knicks, all right? So we did intervene on that one. However, the Celtics re-signing Kyrie Irving happened all on its own. They brought him back on a 4-year, $159 million deal. And like I said, that happened all by itself. And the reason that I thought that this was kind of realistic, the Anthony Davis trade happened. And with that happening in real life, I would think that would be a really big influence on Kyrie Irving for him to stick around in Boston and see if he can lead a team with Anthony Davis on it to a championship title, right? So I figured that, them re-signing him in the game already happening, I thought that was the best thing possible to leave that alone because I feel like that's pretty realistic as it stands. All right, so then you've got the Lakers signing DeMarcus Cousins. That also happened on its own in the game. They signed him to a 4-year, $130 million contract. The Knicks signing Jimmy Butler, again, happened all by itself in the game. They brought him in on a 4-year, $124 million deal. And I thought that was perfect to leave it alone because we knew Kevin Durant was going to want to go to New York with another star. Now they've got not only Jimmy Butler and Kevin Durant, but they've got Zion Williamson as well. And in my eyes, man, that makes them immediately a contender in the East. So there should be some really special things happening there, and I can't wait to see the storylines that develop, because of these signings. Now, some of the more notable ones that happened, Pacers signing Kemba Walker, again, something that happened all by itself. Now, I'll give you guys the second one that I intervened on, okay? The only other one that I intervened on in this whole free agent period, in this whole offseason, other than the Anthony Davis trade and the signing of Kevin Durant to the Knicks, was the Warriors re-signing Klay Thompson, okay? He only had a few offers, one of them being from the Grizzlies, and it looked like he was about to accept the offer from the Grizzlies. I don't think in real life he would sign with the Grizzlies, so I had him accept the offer to re-sign with the Warriors, so Klay Thompson will remain in Golden State. So like I said, just to recap, the only 2 that I intervened on whatsoever was the Knicks signing Kevin Durant and the Warriors re-signing Klay Thompson. Everything else that you see happening here happened on its own, which I thought was really cool. And, of course, we intervened on the Anthony Davis trade as well. So then you've got the Warriors signing Chris Middleton. So they're thinking, hopefully, at least, that's a serviceable replacement for Kevin Durant. It's not going to get anywhere near the production. However, he's a very, very good small forward. So he decides to sign with the Warriors. So the Hawks sign D'Angelo Russell, okay? So the Hawks made him an extremely good offer that the Nets decided not to match, okay? Now, the reason that this is very realistic is because, as you guys will probably remember, the Nets drafted Darius Garland in the first round, okay? Considering the fact that the Hawks made D'Angelo Russell an amazing deal, offered him a lot of money, the Nets were probably thinking like, hey, look, we've got Darius Garland. It's going to cost us a whole lot to match the deal from the Hawks. Why don't we let D'Angelo Russell, just walk, and we'll develop Darius Garland. Now, keep in mind, Trae Young is not on the Hawks. I know I mentioned that before. Trae Young is not there. He's on the Magic because we had our draft last season, and he was drafted to the Magic instead of the Hawks, right? So there you go, D'Angelo Russell, the point guard of the future for the Hawks, presumably, and I can't wait to see how that all works out. The Mavericks did decide to re-sign Kristaps Porzingis, which again I thought was very, very realistic. And then there were some other, kind of notable signings, some kind of cool signings. You had the Lakers signing Patrick Beverley, which I thought was interesting. The Rockets signing Rudy Gay, which I thought was pretty interesting. The Clippers signed Carmelo Anthony, which I thought was, whatever. I mean, I just left it alone. And then you see the Cavs signed Malcolm Brogdon, and they brought back Kyle Korver and Derrick Rose. So I found that to be pretty interesting as well. So between that and having Colin Sexton on the team, now keep in mind they did lose Kevin Love. Kevin Love is now on the Pacers along with Kemba Walker because of that trade that also happened during the draft. And again, that was all the game doing that. I didn't have anything to do with any of that. So so you guys can take a look over the rest of these signings that happened. Of course, there was a few more that happened, but I just wanted to give you guys the ones that I thought were the most interesting. But all in all, man, I think that this free agent period and offseason as a whole turned out perfectly. There's some awesome storylines that are going to be developing, over the course of the season, especially the one with Anthony Davis being a Celtic now. And despite the fact that Anthony Davis will be a free agent at the end of the year, who knows, man? If that team makes a push and say that they make it, all the way to the finals, that could convince Anthony Davis possibly to stay. Now, again, like I said, I'm going to have you guys vote on that. But in terms of realistically, right? If that trade was to happen in real life, I would think that the only thing that would keep Anthony Davis from walking out that door and ending up in, we all probably think Los Angeles because he wants to be a Laker, would be if the Boston Celtics made a very, very deep playoff run and the team looked really, really good. He just might be convinced to stay. I mean, we've seen it happen with Paul George in Oklahoma City. We're going to see if it happens in real life with Kawhi Leonard in Toronto. And speaking of Kawhi, I did want to let you guys know, even though I didn't put this up on the list, Kawhi Leonard decided to accept his player option with the Toronto Raptors, right? So we know that he had a player option left on his contract. He decided to accept it and stay one more year in Toronto. So that makes for a very, very interesting offseason next year, because then next year he will be an unrestricted free agent, and then we'll see exactly what happens with him then. At that point, that might be something else that we will vote on down the road. But as of right now, Kawhi did decide to accept his player option with the Toronto Raptors, so he will at least be there for the 2019-2020 season. So we'll see what happens there as well. But anyway, like I said, I couldn't be happier with how everything turned out this offseason. I do want to hear you guys' feedback and hear what you guys think about all these moves, about all the signings. Hopefully you guys are just as excited as I am to see all of these storylines start to unfold as the season goes on. But anyway, in the next episode, we're going to advance our way to the 2019-2020 season. We're going to take a look over our team, we'll take a look over our schedule, and another thing too, spoiler alert, I'm going to also be revealing some more of the hashtag ad players that I've completed recently for you guys to be part of the next draft class, as well as the guys that I already created that weren't a part of the 2019 draft class. They'll be a part of the 2020 draft class as well, along with the guys that I created recently. So I'll be revealing those in the next episode as well. But thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching this episode to the end. I can't wait for episode 12, which will be out in just a couple of days, because I am going to be, posting some videos more frequently because some of you guys have been asking for that. So I can't wait for that. But until then, I'll see you guys next time.